This is our reference, and that's about how I tried to assemble the scene. Why not the whole scene? That is, if you want to repeat after me, I just can't send you the whole scene, since there are paid models here. I can't just distribute them. Therefore, I can give you links of those models to those models that I used in this project. But I'll show you how to prepare these models. In principle, there is nothing complicated here. If you want to repeat, if you want me to throw a scene to you, then tell me. Then I'll throw it in the chat in the group. So, in the scene, we are now going to prepare the scans for baking, since the light will be baked. We will need to make the scans. So, basically, we do it on the boxes. The scan is done very simply. We are opening a Rise. I hope you have a Rise. If not, right, then I will explain about how it is. Although no, you can't install it like that. So, we will need to do a scan in the RISM on the second channel. We open the Rise and set the second channel here. We set the new mode and go to RISM. Okay, good. To make a sweep here, we have a fourth mode. These are boxes. It's more suitable for walls, for something so angular. We'll pack it, stretch it. In principle, there is nothing complicated here on the scans, and we save it on the controls. For example, on this floor lamp here, I'm going to show you how to make a scan on it. There is a little need to do it manually. I'm also creating a new scan. Okay, I'm going to move it now. So, in the Elements mode on F4, that is, I switch to the Elements mode, the selection of elements on F4. It's like Woodits was a field when we switched to different modes like edges, points, polygons, and elements. Here the elements are on F4 mode. Let's deploy them now. So, the first option did not fit. Let's try to deploy the second option now. So, I think that here we need to switch to the edge mode. This is F2. So, I'm going to click twice on this lampshade here. I'm highlighting the magnifying glass. Suddenly, there are a lot of edges here. I don't know for sure, so it's better to click twice, select the magnifying glass, and press the C key. So we split it up. We select the lampshade, which we have already cut, and unfold. Let's try the second method now. Yes, here's the second method turned out well. In principle, there are such redness, but they are not strong. It can be ignored in principle. So, I pinch the tap and transfer it a little so that it does not interfere with us. So, now let's choose. So, let's choose this element here, so that it is more convenient for us to expand it. Press the AI key. This is isolation for us, that is, we isolate the object and try to divide it into parts. Because I think it will not turn around automatically normally. That is, in part, it is to switch to F2 mode. So, then here I click on F, I click double click, that is, we select a sequence of edges with a magnifying glass. And select them like this, continuing these edges here. Then I press the C key, that is, cut to cut like a detail. We'll do the same here. We do this because there is such a closed figure here, it normally will not unfold automatically. So we need a little help. We select the magnifying glass with a double click, something like Edith was in the field, and press the C key, that is, cut. So here again. So I didn't click twice here. So right here. So that's it, and now I'm clicking on C. That's it, it turns out I have all these elements separated. Now I'm going to try to expand a certain individual element of some kind. Let's try the first method. So, something seems to be good. So, well, I don't know, it seems to me it can be divided here again. That is, with a double magnifying glass, double-click to select the magnifying glass, press the C key. Select the element again, here, but no, I didn't cut it here, press F2, press C again on the keyboard. Divide, select the element, and try to expand it again. Yes, it's better now. In other words, there are no distortions visible now, it's better now. Now let's try to expand the lower one as well. I think that the same thing needs to be cut here. That is, I press F2, switch to the edge mode, select silver here. Click on C, that is, cut and unfold in the same way. Here I align horizontally and pack it. We have the Pi key, or the Shift Pi key to pack it. Shift Pi, we will take into account the scale. If we assume we stretch it like this and try to click on the Shift Pi, then it will pack with the same scale. And it's just that the Pi has to reset the scale or somehow fit. That is, it will change the scale in order to fit on the canvas. So, well, we just use packing its Pi. So, now let's try to do the same with these. So, I'm going to try to deploy the first method now. So it seems to be good. The only thing is that this blue stripe is better not to allow it. In other words, these distortions, which are on this scale, are red and blue for us. It is better not to allow them, because there may be stretching in this case, that is, the light will bake worse here. In principle, it's not critical here, I think, but it's better to finalize it, of course. Now I press F2, double-click this club again, parallel to the one that was on that element. I click on C, select this element, and expand it. So I just unwrapped it now, I had to pack it up and unwrap it. I'll just pack it up. Yes. Now align horizontally and pack. The same thing needs to be done with this element here. I highlight it, I'll try not to divide it, I'll see what happens. So, I deployed the first method like this. No, it unfolds exactly the same way, so you still need to make a cut here along this axis, oh, more precisely, along these edges. Click on C, then select through F4 in the elements, this element, and try to deploy the first method. So I align and pack again. So, in principle, the scan is good. Now we will pull it out. You can basically pull it out like this. Here, so that they do not turn much into a square, because the proportions will be broken, I will turn them vertically now. Here you can align it vertically, and try to pull it out. I'm packing it up again. So I don't like the way he packs it. It's better to select these elements and pack them exactly. So it's not good either. So we'll stretch again, so we'll pack, we'll stretch, we'll pack, we'll stretch. Here you can manually select the shift and the stage and tighten it up like this. In general, it is not necessary to change the proportions much to distort, because then you may have baking problems, that is, there will be poor quality baking of light and shadows. So here I get superimposed islands on top of each other. This is wrong. I'm going to pack it up again. Now everything is fine. So, in principle, you can save this scan. We press Ctrl+C, we have a RISM channel on the object, or rather a RISM scan on the second channel. This means that there is a scan, we convert it to somewhere in the field. So, here we take the curtains from the first channel scan. Usually curtains, some pieces of furniture, let's say the ottoman, has some scans on the first channel, so we take these scans. How to take them? For example, I choose a curtain and assign Unwrap to Ivy Double Bio. In this modifier, we usually look at OpenUV, and here in principle, we can see the scan. Well, it's not always obvious to see it. Sometimes you can just check, transfer the scan, that is, select Map Channel to here. And click MUF. MUF, this is what we get. A copy will be made from it turns out from the first channel to the second channel. And if we had pressed Bendon, we would have just moved on. And we need to copy it. Press the MUF. Now convert to Edith was a field. Usually I collapse modifiers, so in principle, the rise does not fail. If you do not collapse, it happens that some kind of failures. Now we are not creating a new one, that is, we are not choosing Nile here, but choosing Edith, that is, changing the scan. Select the second channel here as well, and go to Risen. So, Ivan, hello. This is it, yes, 3D Max. We are currently preparing models for baking for Andri. So, here we have a scan that has been transferred from the first channel, and now we just need to pack it. It's already ready, we just pack it. I've just pressed 4 of them. I just like the way the model looks better. It's better to look at her that way. And we pack it. So, packed and stretched. That's it. In principle, there is nothing more to do, we can just save the scan. Convert to where you were field, and that's it. This curtain has the same thing. I basically have scans made, I just decided to show you how it's all done. The ottoman is the same here. The scan is taken from the first channel. There is a very simple figure here, the shape is the shape of a wash basin, so to speak. Here you can even do a scan with boxing in my opinion, I don't remember exactly. I'll take a look. I remove the object, remove the new, create a new scan, and go to at once. Now I'll see how you can do it here. So in the box and deploy. Yes, in principle, I think I used boxing. Align vertically, or you cannot align in principle. These ones are aligned after all. Now let's pack it up. Then in the mode at 4, again, I select, pinch the Shift tab. Usually I do this, that is, I pull and pack. So, now you can't pull it out much, because then it won't pack so well more tightly. You can pack a little bit by hand and stretch it like this. So align vertically. So, in principle, you can try to do it more tightly. For example, here you can select two elements, pinch the Shift tab, and tighten it up like this. The main thing is to observe the distance between the islands, otherwise there will be artifacts. Something like that. I clamp the stage so that I have these triggers that help drag, zoom in, zoom out, in short, manage objects. So, I think that this scan can already be used and saved. Just click Controls and save. I already have a scan, I won't save it. So tap. Let's see how the crane is created. I will also try to create a new scan. I choose a crane and go to Risen. So, let's try to deploy the first option. So, the first option is not very good, let's try the second one. So, the third option is also not very good. Let's try boxing. I already like boxing more, but there are a lot of small details here. For example, this element did not unfold, or unfolded incorrectly, because it has blue polygons. This is not quite right. We select the box again, and try to expand it again. So now he's turned around well. We are not looking at the dimensions right now, because we are just going to pack it on the Pi key, or this button here. Small elements can be like this. More precisely, Control A select everything and Alt-clamped remove just the selection from large objects. I'll just try to increase them like this, that is, pack them up and that's it. So here it's better not to allow squares like this, because here we have an empty space. Somehow he does not keep company correctly. Click on F3, select. We select polygons like this, click on C, and we get these elements separated here. Now align vertically again. So it's better to select these elements separately and align them vertically. So we'll pack it up. So I have this usual packing, that is, on the Pi key, it knocks down the scale, which I kind of artificially made. I packed and enlarged a little. To prevent this from happening, you can select everything again, for example. With the Alt clamped, remove the selection from large objects like this. So well, of those objects that I do not want to pack, and pack with the second method of Shift Pi. In principle, he had to pack everything. Okay, let's not focus on that now. In principle, this scan can be used. Click on Controls and convert it somewhere in the field. We collapse, that is, the modifier of this RASM. The only difficulty was with these fabrics here. We have such towels, they didn't have a scan on the first channel and had to somehow manually. Now I'm going to show you what kind of scan there is. So, I managed to make a scan like this. MEMF, that is, I made a lot of incisions here. You can see it by the orange lines. In different places, there is even a distortion somewhere. This is red, this is what we get compression. Red is compression, that is, it is most likely that light can bake poorly here. Now you can click here and correct where we have. Here we have this element. I'll try to click on, oh, this is an optimize. So we look, there's still no red. I try to expand it, so it's fine at all, that is, now there are no traces at all. In order not to have such a long noodles like this, we just double-click the magnifier somewhere in F2 mode and press the C key. Here also, here. So here. And that's how it turns out. I have segments. So it will be easier to pack these islands. I select vertically and pack it. I have just used the Shift-Pi hotkey, or this method of scanning. Here we do not touch anything. In principle, we work in any units. In the system unit stage, we put click on OK. OK. But if we then we create a new project with the correct units and import a scene there that has the wrong units. In other words, we convert it in this way. So it turns out that we have now exported the box, that is, all the objects from the box. We do the same with others, that is, I hide the box, select, let's say, Windows. Also select everything and export in the same way. So, about the shell. Now I'll show you how to throw models BX. For example, we select all their B's. So we transfer it like this. Just drag and drop it into this folder. Therefore, in order to set the scene in the same coordinates as in 3D Max, in the lactation section, we must put zeros everywhere. Great. So now, by the way, how to fly in a camera, that is, to fly in a capsule in a upport. In order to fly in the upport, we pinch with the right button and we can move like this, as if to look around. If we hold down the right button and, as in the game, we move to W with a D, that is, forward backward, left right. If someone is playing, those who are playing know that we have a shift forward, backward, left and right. Here. The mouse roller, if we twist ourselves here, it turns out that we are getting closer. We are moving away from ourselves. To speed up the movement, for example, now I'm flying up slowly. I want to fly up even slower, yes. There is a camera icon here. We just set a lower speed here, for example, and I'm already flying. It turns out slowly. If you need to hurry up, then I increase the speed here. This is what concerns navigation in the upport. So, something is not clear to me. What is wrong with the window here? It was supposed to be a window. So, just a second. Okay, I'll check it out now. Oh yes, I get it. You need to click on Control. I'm going to remove the selection now. More precisely, I just didn't select all the windows, since if the windows are on the back side. Oh no, that's right. I'll check it out now. 1 second. Yes, that's right, I'm sorry, it's a mistake. There's just an extra model here. For some reason, the glass got into the box here, so I didn't understand what happened. So, everything is fine. Here I have a box transferred. Now we take the same thing and do it with another folder. Just select, open the folder, select the folder, click, or rather open the folder, select all objects on the control. and transfer all objects to the viewport. Here in Lakeishin, we also specify everything by zeros in order to expose objects in the position in which they should be, as in 3D Max. We set zeros because beer is at 0 for all objects. Now, if I select each object now, here it is everywhere for everyone 1. So, yes, it's our windows. Now I will transfer the remaining models. So, I transfer the decor, I also move it to 0. So that's it, I transferred all the geometry. I'm going to show you how I have already set up the baked lighting in Principle, about how it is set up. So I'm in Elite mode right now. So, this artifact is most likely due to the fact that there was some kind of failure. I don't know why, everything should be well baked here. So, gray material is used here, just like we do gray material in 3D Max, in order to adjust the light correctly. Just creating the material. I'll show you now. Here we right-click the material folder where we created it. Right-click, click the material, remove it here, name the material. So, now I'm going to call it, I'm going to indicate M, and you can call it something. So, open it and to create a regular Surmat, hold down the F3 on the keyboard, press the left mouse button. And we create such a node responsible for the color. You can connect it to the scalar battle. We clamp, or rather click twice on the color, and here we set 07. Well, I put about 07 in gray on all these elements here. In Rokes, it is our roughness, that is, it is our glossiness. I click on it with the right button, playing the promoter, and the parameter here you need to select, here I can enter the gloss. I created a parameter. Then we put not 0, but 1 in the default value, that is, the maximum roughness. And we keep it. That's it. This is how the Surmat material looks like. It's just easier to adjust the light that way. In Principle, as a technique as in 3D Max. That is, we assign a color. It is better, of course, to assign a color to the interior. If it is a dark interior, then even more so it should go into a dark color. If it is light, then it is lighter. And we can just assign this material to all objects, but we don't do that. It is better to create an instance of the material. That is, we right-click, remove the Create Material instance. This is our dependent material on the master material. We do this for optimization, because when we have a lot of materials accumulating in the project over time, with a bunch of nodes, with a bunch of all kinds of weaves, this loads the system, the processor, and creates a lot, lowers the performance of our computer. In Principle, we do not need this, so we do it immediately in an optimized way. And it is convenient to control the instance material, that is, I created the glossiness material. I created a parameter. It was a parameter, not a constant, but a parameter. And the parameter can be changed. Let's say I can set 0 or 1 now without going to the master material. Now, by the way, I'm going to make a color change. I'm going back again to this material that I created. To do this, I right-click on the node with the color and remove the envelope parameter here. Here I choose color. That's it. Now we have this color as a parameter. I'm saving it. So there is still a long preservation in the materials of the difference from the material of the instance. And now the instance material, we have a new parameter, its color. In other words, we can enable this parameter and set the color here. In other words, we can change it right on the go. This is again a plus of the instance. For example, now I'm going to put this material on this wall here. And we can change the light right here. So, it turns out that we select all the objects in the scene and assign this gray material. Next, how the light is set up, how we set up the light. So, I'm going to close this material now. Save it like this, just a second. So, let's continue. How to adjust the light. Here I have the light set up very simply. The usual skylight, we create it through the create plus sign, where we create various actors, objects. Click on the lights, and here we have a skylight. Just transfer the skylight and set it up. Now I'm going to show you what settings I used. First of all, here we set the static mode, since we will bake the light. Here I used HD Paradise. You can. No, I didn't use HD Paradise here. I have it here. Yes, I used HD Paradise here after all. You could just use a CAPTCHA, that is, I have the sun turned on and the atmosphere effect turned on. Now I'm going to hide this background here so that it doesn't interfere. The background is such a sphere around the interior. Now I'm going to hide it and explain what I mean about the atmosphere. There is a sun here. Here it is in the interior. It is created in a similar way, that is, we click on the plus sign, lights, and there is a direct light here. Here. And so that we have this sky, as if embedded, we add atmospheric sky atmospheres. It is also located if you click on the plus sign. Here I see the effect of sky atmospheres. Usually, as the sun does, sky atmospheres, and you can turn on the mode, that is, the mode when sky will be like a CAPTCHA. Record everything that surrounds it. This is the sun, this is some kind of light around this sky, let's say, and illuminate inside. This option doesn't suit me right now, I'm adjusting the brightness of the sun here, it's not too bright for me. And there are no atmospheres, but it depends on it. That is, I reduce the brightness of the sun, I get this effect here. So, in principle, you can adjust it separately, but in principle I did not do it. But if you increase the brightness of the sun, then the brightness of this atmospheric effect increases. It can be configured separately, but I preferred to use HD Paradise, since HD Paradise has more colors. And the light turns out to be more interesting. So, now I will return the sphere. So, for the sphere, or rather for sky, we set the intensity scale here. This is the brightness, how bright the sky will shine for us. And direct intensity lighting. Here we set up, as it were, the power of the reflected light, that is, how powerful the filling light will be, how bright it will be. Here we do not forget to put some kind of solution. If we have a small resolution, it will be worse to bake the light. So sorry, after all, I get a light capture with the environment. I just thought I had HD heaven. I'm going to drop it now. So that's it. We also have an intensity. As I said, this is the brightness of the glow of the sky. Direct lighting intensity is a filling light. The more it is, the more indirect light we have, indirect light. So in principle, these are all settings on sky. I didn't seem to touch anything here by the sun. Here we can set the glow temperature. I put up warmer lighting and about this angle. Although there is no sun on the reference, I just decided to add this for more artistry. These are some kind of shadows from the sun. And here there is also indirect lighting intensity, where we put the filling light re-reflected. Source angel is our parameter that is responsible for smoothing, more precisely, the size of the sun's disk. And if we have a larger disk, then it turns out we will have more blurred shadows. Here we control, like this, how much we will have blurred shadows. Next. So, cast shadows is our casting of shadows. Now I'll find where I have here. And here's the intensity. Here intensity, we set the intensity. For example, I'm going to put more or 0. That is, we can adjust here how bright it will shine. Direct intensity, to see how it works, you need to resample. In other words, we set some value here and resample it. We won't see it now. It's the same with sky. If we change the intensity, or we change the direct intensity, that is, the reflected light, then we will not see the effect immediately, that is, we will need to recut. So in principle, everything is around the world. Then here, we create a post-process. It's like to show. So, this is such a container object that does, as it were, post-processing in the project. It is created in the same place where we create. We create in the section I see the effect, and here we choose the post will, post the process of will, and transfer it to the price. The first thing we put here is the infinite extent parameter. Infinite extent is a parameter that makes the action of this post process on the entire wall, that is, it is not limited to its container. If we don't check this box, then it will only work, or rather all of its parameters will work, only in the zone. Everything in the zone of this container. So, here we configure how we will bake our own. That is, we put right in the search in the tools at the post process. That is, we have now highlighted, and in the search we write global illumination. Here in global illumination, we choose the NaN mode. NaN is our baking mode. Lumen is a miscalculation of lumen. Well, there are many other methods of calculation. But if we need baking, we clean up on. Then I choose reflection, right reflection. Here I choose Stendhalon right racing. Reflection with a rate rating. They are much better. You can use the NaN mode. If we use the NaN mode, then we can more accurately use the reflection sphere's effect in the future. That is, for reflection, we can use such elements that photograph everything around, let's say, and create a reflection due to this. So, now this is not visible, it will be visible on the materials. Just for the record, getting ahead of myself a bit. So, what else are we setting up here in the post-process? We are setting up the intensity here. There is a section bloom and intensity here. We usually set it to 0 and already at the final. It is possible to set, let's say, some intensity. This is the effect of bright objects, more precisely, lamps, the sun, something that shines brightly. I'll put up, for example, 2. Let's see what effect. Here it is, this effect of such glare. Now I'm going to put a small value on 0.15. So in principle, we set up the light in this way, and set up the post-process. You can also set up the blame, but this is later, of course. This can probably be set up at the final. So in principle, we set up the light. The only one moment in the tulle, so that we do not have a shadow from the tulle, we put, that is, select the tulle as an object. Click everything in the tulles and look for a cast shadow. Here we need to disable the check mark, it is enabled by default. Disable the check mark. I'll even turn it on now. So the shadow appears. It is better to remove the shadow, that is, we insert, remove the tick, and the tulle will no longer cast such a shadow as plywood. You can put it on the curtain like this. In principle there is a dense fabric, there will be tulle here. So now we will bake the light. I'll show you the example of baking on a native casserole, because I have a low-hang casserole that is unstable right now. To install the baking plugin, it is not built into Unreal directly with the installation. You need to go into the plugin, into the plugins, and here in the search, we drive GP Light Mass Light Mass. We find the GP Light Mass plugin, put a tick here and most likely the reel will say well, like you need to restart to apply the settings. We restart Unreal and we have a build GP Light Mass in the section. We open the GP Light Mass. Now let's try to make a test baking. Here you need to turn off the check mark in the real-time upward permit, so that we don't bake it all for a very long time. It's like real-time with us. Real-time miscalculation, we turn it off. Here you can remove this show progress bar so that we don't have any such download strips where we have baking going on. Next, in the mod, we choose a full bake. Full bake is the baking of the whole scene, that is, everything. Not what we see, but everything. There is a second version of Bake Bake. That is, what we see he will bake. Now we need a full bake mode. I don't touch anything in Dynamo. We turn off the light mask compress here. And the compress light mask we need to disable more world settings. Most likely you don't have this window. In order for it to appear, we go into Windows. Here there is a top in the menu, remove Windows and add world settings. We will have a window like this. We drag it near the tools, we put it up and so it is here, and here we need to go to the light mask section. And here we will have a checkmark compress light mask. She will stand. We turn it off. It's like an optimization built into Unreal, which we basically don't need. It only spoils the quality of the scans for us. And here we remove the compress light mask. Then to JSample. So, by default, it costs 512. Station Relight Shadow Samples 128. Qualight supposedly heat. Now I'm going to reset these parameters here. So, in high samples, I'm going to try to set everything according to the draft now. Let's see how the light is baked. So, everything I have is now set to default, and I will try to bake. So, here we have something wrong happened. We need to find out now what's the matter. Click. So now I'm going to check this sphere here. So, the shadows are disabled. Oh yes, I changed some parameters, apparently. So let's put HD Paradise after all. Yes, we will. I'll try to bake again. Let's see what happens. I just removed the shutter from sky, and therefore the lighting disappeared. Yes, the stream will be recorded on the channel. So that's it. Now the light is baked correctly. So, it seems to me that it is possible to reduce the light a little. Put it on 4. So, let's see if we have any artifacts. So, everything seems to be fine. These are the moments. Here, not everything is perfect when baking. Most likely, this is already due to the quality settings, because Lightma is resolution. Now I will explain what kind of light resolution is. We switch to lit mode. Here we go to Optimize in Humos, choose Lightmap Density, Lightmap Density mode, and here we see such a picture. Such a checkerboard texture everywhere. This is what we have in our scan, where it turns out to be smaller, there it is red. That is, Unreal suggests that if the color is red, then the light should bake well. But it doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes, especially on fabrics, we set a greater value. We set the value here. In other words, we select an object and enter a light map in the tools in the search. Light map. Here comes the light map resolution. Here, by default, the checkmark is disabled and it says 64. We turn on and set, let's say, more resolution. Now it costs 512, for example, I try to put it. About 256, I'll try to put, for example, 512. And we see that this checker has become smaller. In other words, we have increased the resolution by 512 pixels. And the more we set the resolution, the harder it is for our video card. In other words, you should not mindlessly set high resolutions everywhere. This way we will only use up more memory, and in the end, we won't even be able to bake the light. Therefore, we set the light wisely. If we have any strong artifacts, then it is worth increasing the resolution. If the permission doesn't help. Here, for example, a good resolution of lime is displayed. I'll switch to lit mode. But there are some points. Here, for example, where the light is not very well baked. This is most likely either something with a scan, that is, somewhere I did not catch up. That is, it is the deformation. Somewhere the scan is compressed, somewhere it is stretched. Exactly what I was talking about. That is, it is impossible to allow blue and red areas on the scan. Or we may have islands too close to each other on the scan to be located. Now I'm going to click on Ctrl-E, select the object, click Ctrl-E, and remove the second channel in the scrolls. Here the report is from 0, so this is considered the first in RL. Moving on. In principle, everything looks fine. I don't think it's the distance between these islands here. Most likely these are some kind of distortions, that is, somewhere I allowed compression, stretching, deformation of the reamers. And therefore, it does not bake well everywhere, but this will not be particularly noticeable. It can be neglected. I think the quality will improve if the quality of the light mask settings is improved. So, I'll try to put a good resolution now. I'll turn it on now. So I'll try to put a good resolution and see how it renders. Let's put it like this. There are 2048 here. So let's add this checkmark here. So I'll bet you 2000. So 2048 3 samples. I'll leave 2048 here too. So, well, that's basically it. And let's try to bake. But no. I'm going to try everywhere now just to increase the light map resolution so that. Now I will switch to the light map resolution mode again. A light map density. In order to improve the quality of all objects at once, we switch to the build. So lighting 2. And here we choose. So, the lighting is static. No, that's not it. Light map resolution justice. Here we check the static meshes. I'll set the maximum value here to 4096. From 32 to 4096. For all loaded levels, we will put 100% here, now 200%. So we cured it turns out to be one step, that is, we doubled the resolution of the scans or not even twice. Just as if in speech for another step. Now I'm betting 100 and that's it. So now we have everywhere, if we look, a high-quality scan of the light map solution. So, I switched to lit mode, and we see that our baking has gone wrong. When setting up the light map resolution, the baking is lost. This is normal. We're not doing anything about it. So, here we do not forget to turn off the real-time viewport from the oven so that we do not lag when baking. And click on the build lighting. So we get a baked color. Let's see now how well it is baked. So, well, there are a lot fewer artifacts now than there were before. Yes, they are a little there, but in general, in principle, it is not noticeable. If there is more material, it will not be noticeable at all. So, everything is fine here too. No noise. I don't notice any artifacts. In principle, the settings are suitable for the final render, at least for this scene. These settings are suitable. This GPS light mass needs to be configured for each project individually. Somewhere these settings are suitable, somewhere you need to wind up more. So, we figured out how to make light in the interior in this.